leader. And I'm like, all right. So let me ask you this. Bill Belichick watched him all year. Tom Brady is now old and expensive. Wouldn't Belichick have said, why are we for Brady? We got Stidham. The Colts bailed on Peyton Manning, and Andrew Luck was still a college player. Bill Belichick, after Tom Brady won a Super Bowl versus Atlanta, had Jimmy Garoppolo. Brady was better then, younger then, and had just been the MVP of the Super Bowl. And Belichick was ready to move off him for Garoppolo. Brady's now older, off his worst season in years, and Belichick's like, is Tom going to resign? We got space for Tom. We'll keep Tom. Belichick watched him the whole year. He watched him every practice. He didn't blow him away. Listen, it's not like Jarrett Stidham played in the sticks. He played it. It's in the SEC. He beat Alabama. The game got a massive rating. We knew who Jarrett Stidham was. We watched Jarrett Stidham. He threw for 18 touchdowns at Auburn. Auburn's got NFL offensive linemen, NFL running backs, NFL tight ends, NFL. It's Auburn, for God's sakes. It's a top 10, 12 program in the country, maybe top 8. They beat Bama regularly. Nobody else does except Clemson. So it's Auburn. We watched them 2 years. When he got drafted in the 4th round, were we outraged? We barely even mentioned it. It wasn't even mentioned. Now, perhaps he's a late bloomer, but the idea, I keep hearing about all these insiders talking about how great he is, and my thing is, Belichick watched him for a year and still sat around hoping Tom Brady signed. Belichick, when Garoppolo got drafted, the first year there was buzz about him. The first camp there was buzz about him. The first preseason there was buzz about him. People were into Jimmy Garoppolo. So much so, Tom Brady went to the owner and said, get him out of here. Brady, there was no buzz about Jarrett Stidham. As an old, struggling Tom Brady, we didn't even suggest Stidham should play. So I never bought into the garage band that just didn't get a break. I don't, it's like comedy. Oh, this guy was really funny. He never got a break. It's too much money in comedy. Dave Chappelle was 20. He was 20. And Mel Brooks put him in a role for a movie. At 20, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Bill Maher, they're killing it. At like 23, there are agents everywhere. Tiger Woods had an agent at 11. I hope Jarrett Stidham works. But there's not even a buzz about him. Belichick wanted Brady back. I don't buy it. I want to see it. And by the way, I could argue they have the worst weapon in the league. He's going to elevate those. I don't buy it. And I hope the kid works. I mean, you don't want to see New England be unwatchable. They already have a conservative system. A conservative system, no weapons, and a bad quarterback is terrible football. I love Belichick, the best coach I've ever seen. But when insiders start telling me about somebody and there's no buzz all these years in, a guy that played in the SEC against Alabama, and I think one of the years he beat Alabama, and he got drafted in the 4th round, and we were like, yeah, that's about where he is. Maybe he's the world's latest bloomer at quarterback. But, I mean, I can remember very early with Lamar Jackson, very early in college, people are being like, oh, that's Michael Vick. Oh, my God. Oh, Lord. And people started arguing about him. He's good. No, he's overrated. He's good. He's overrated. If they're arguing about you, there's a buzz about you. Like, that means half the people are like, wow. And half the people are like, oh, overrated. There's not even arguments about Jarrett Stidham. Nobody's like, there's no pro-Jarrett Stidham or anti-Jarrett Stidham camp because there's no buzz. And I just kind of tend to believe if you got it, we'll find it. We'll hear about it if you're not playing. Joy with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
I'll give you an example. Remember Strasburg, the pitcher?
Yes.
He was like 19 years old at San Diego State. We don't even talk college baseball. He was at San Diego State, not LSU, not Michigan baseball, not Oregon State, like great programs. Strasburg was the talk of college baseball. And it's like, and then you watch him, you're like, oh, yeah. Bryce Harper in high school, LeBron in high school.
Well, we have so much access to video and information and communication now that it's almost impossible for someone to just appear out of nowhere anymore. Like
YouTube has really been YouTube and American Idol and YouTube have been the greatest in creations for people that don't have lots of capitalization, that don't have funding.
Right.
They don't come from they come from small towns, and you don't need big funding, and you can go on YouTube, and people will find. By the way, Twitter is free.
Yeah, I mean, social media is a huge. Look at grassroots basketball. How early we know young basketball players now because of social media. Otherwise, we would never know about these kids and what they're doing.
First
or how
time
giant they are.
Zion, I saw him on a Twitter account.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And then I was like, "Ooh, who's this kid at Duke?" I wanted to watch him because his dunks were so
Right.
great.
Otherwise, you would have only found out about him at Duke. Right. It's a completely different world now. So the Steelers don't seem too concerned with how Ben Roethlisberger will look when he returns to the field following the elbow surgery. Their GM, Kevin Colbert, says he is confident that Big Ben is doing everything he can do to get back in shape.
I know where Ben is. I know where he's been in his career, and I'm never worried about his conditioning. When he shows up at a training camp, he's ready to go, and he knows how to prepare himself. And I know that, he could easily walk away from this game as well, but he's choosing to continue to play it because I still think he really wants to prove and do more. To me, the guy's got Hall of Fame credentials as he stands today. That's not enough for him, and to me, that's a mark of greatness.
Well, Kevin Colbert's a great GM, so I tend to buy into him. But I think Ben's reputation, Joy, is fair.
Right.
Super talented, hasn't squeezed the most out of his talent.
In general, I trust the Steelers.
That's right. So
they're a very well-run organization, very stable organization. But I think it's also fair to argue over the last few years, they have grossly underdelivered.
Absolutely.
And it's been a disappointment. I mean, the fact that they didn't have more success with Ben Roethlisberger, healthy Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell is a disappointment. Like, that's a fair thing to say.
Yeah.
So it's not that I think he is being inaccurate. It's just like you said, Ben's reputation is what it is for a reason. We didn't just come up with it.
Right.
Like, you know what? He looks like he doesn't work out, or he takes unnecessary hits. Like, we can see what it is that's happening with Ben Roethlisberger. Not to mention the fact that he's had open conversations about possibly retiring. I don't love the idea that he could walk away from the game right now. That doesn't make me feel great coming off of an elbow surgery. It's not like Tom Brady, who's coming off of a kind of disappointing season by Tom Brady standards, and we're wondering how much more he has in him. He just had elbow surgery, and he's coming.
Yeah.
So these are all fair questions. And again, I wouldn't be so apprehensive about the Steelers this year if they had a solid backup quarterback. But they seem completely disinterested in bringing in or someone that we didn't just watch last year completely drop the ball. I mean, if they had anyone functional last year, probably would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges are not where it's at. Well, he had surgery on September 23rd, and he's not % right now, but they're saying you're not pushing it because he has more time. So we'll see. Eli Manning said that he thinks Daniel Jones will have a better opportunity to step into a leadership role now that he knows he's the guy. Eli also thought there was kind of an awkward dynamic between the two of them last season, and Daniel Jones agrees with his former teammate.
I think looking back, there was definitely, probably a little bit awkward at times, certain times, but I think we did a good job working together. I know I enjoyed working with him, and certainly learned a ton from him.
The funny thing about it is Daniel Jones is kind of like Eli Manning 2.0.
It looks like
It's kind of like that Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other. So I can't not do awkward situations. It is not what I do. If I'm in an awkward situation, I just leave. If I'm watching something awkward on TV, I will fast forward. I'll go get a drink.
I can't watch. Remember that show Intervention?
Yes.
I couldn't watch it. Like having family members confront other family members on television. I've told you this before. If he's on Jeopardy and they're getting crushed, I have to turn the channel.
I'm the same way. I cannot tolerate awkward. So I can't imagine Eli Manning and Daniel Jones, who are kind of just naturally awkward guys to begin with, being awkward around each other. Like they're probably I can't even imagine the scenario. They're like, no, you have the last muffin. Like, no, you have the last muffin. No, I insist. You have the last muffin. I'm glad for Daniel Jones that he is now in this role. It must have been difficult for him. I mean, it's not just Manning. Like, it's not just a quarterback. It's Eli Manning, who's won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
It's the New York Giants.
Yeah.
He's a Manning.
Daniel Jones is a strange player. He had 3 games last year, Joy, where I think combined he had like 13 touchdowns, no. Like I watched the Jets game and I was like, oh my God. Jets defense was good. He lit it up. Daniel's a fascinating kid. And the truth is, when you're the number 6 pick, you could understand Eli like,
Right.
I got 2 Super Bowls.
No, I don't blame Eli, and I don't blame Daniel Jones.
I don't blame him at all.
Yeah. Situation. And again, this is why it's kind of weird when you do something that aggressive, like take Daniel Jones 6 overall, that you kind of try and squeeze it all in there. Like, you got to say who the guy is, especially if the guy is Eli Manning and he's won 2 Super Bowls, no matter how he. It makes it weird. Finally.